One of the most affordable and sustainable ways to obtain new clothing is by thrifting or shopping secondhand. But as many of us thrifters know, finding the real treasures or the items of high potential in terms of both fit and quality can be really hard to identify. So if you're the type of person who likes your clothes to look impeccably fit and made to measure, without the bespoke budget, some fitting and alteration will almost likely be necessary with all ready-to-wear and pre-owned garments. Today, I've recruited my pal Barbara from Royal Black Couture to come thrifting with me. Barbara trained as a tailor and has an impeccable eye for thrifted finds. So how can we learn to think like a tailor when thrifting our clothes? Which garments are going to alter well and be worth the money? Which are going to pose structural challenges that will make them not worth it? Before we can go on our thrifting journey, I must first take a minute to thank June's Journey for kindly sponsoring this portion of the video. June's Journey is a stunning hidden object mystery game set against the backdrop of the dazzling 1920s. Join Detective June Parker as she works to learn the truth behind her sister's murder and uncover her family's secrets. You can help June by playing through gorgeously illustrated scenes, spotting objects and finding clues that unlock new adventures. The storyline is full of riveting twists and turns, and I just love seeing how June navigates the wild drama that is her life. You can also earn coins and materials to decorate your island, join special events to earn in-game rewards, and join a club to play alongside friends and fellow detectives alike. And because new chapters are added every week, there's always something new for you to uncover. Feel like taking on the challenge? Download June's Journey for free by scanning the QR code on screen or by following the link in the description box below. June's Journey is available on iOS and Android mobile devices, as well as on PC. Now, let's go find some different hidden treasures.
So when I'm going to thrift stores, I always look for the best quality that I can find in the fabrics, natural fibers, wool, linen, silk, cottons, because it's not only nicer to wear, but it's also good to adjust.
Tweed! Wow, these feel great. Oh, nice. They're kind of cool.
I think it was tailor-made because it
Ooh.
has
Oh, wow.
basting thread in there. It is.
Wow. Oh my God.
It's really cool. It's handmade.
Yeah, we'll definitely take that.
Yes.
All right, what are we doing first?
So if you want to do some adjustments, take a look at where the pockets are placed, if there are any. The most important thing is that it doesn't interfere with the pocket, because it would create a fold in the pocket, which is ugly and bulky, and we don't want that. Uninterrupted seams, you can take them in from top to bottom, maybe also let them out if there is some extra fabric in it.
So would this be a worthwhile purchase?
No, because there are pockets in the way of getting it taken in.
Thumbs down. I take this part of the process into heavy consideration before even purchasing. Do I love this garment enough to either A, put in the work myself to get this up to peak wearable state, or B, factoring in the cost of getting it altered, is it still worth the money? I'm not sure that I love them enough to bother with the alterations.
Right.
It's a thumbs medium. They feel so sticky. They're so clingy. Oh my God, the static. Okay, no, thumbs down.
There are some areas that are very complex in construction. So that's one of the first tips that I always give. Make sure that it fits around the shoulders. It would take a lot of time to adjust it, and I feel it's not worth it.
You're gonna save a lot of money by getting something that fits up here and just having the tailor do these simpler seams, versus getting something that doesn't fit up here is gonna cost a lot more money on, the tailoring end.
Absolutely, yeah. It's really important to look at the fit of the armhole, because if the armhole is cut way too low, it will really take away movement and flexibility. So it would be important that the armhole is not too big for you, but also not too tight so it cuts into your armpits. But anything from the shoulder area downwards is easy to modify. Again, we have very long uninterrupted seams that are easy to adjust, and I feel like we will adjust this a little bit to fit you better. The collar and shoulder area is a bit more detailed, so again I would not start altering these because it takes more time to remove the shoulder pads, to open the collar seams. This is 100% linen and it has really, really lovely details.
I'm giving this a thumbs up. Yeah, yeah. Wait. Wow, okay. Let's see how the jacket fits. Yes. Oh. It's matching button, isn't it? Funny. Yes. I love it. Like, it feels very...
And it's such a beautiful
professional,
unique shape with the tapered down buttons.
Yeah, definitely my favorite so far.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Does it fit? Oh my god, nothing ever fits.
It's perfect.
And then every once in a while you find something that just fits. Oh my god. Okay, this is a yes. I'm taking this one. This is gonna be my little summer dress. Oh, yay! Thrift haul. Now for stage 2 of the thrifting process, which is often but really shouldn't be skipped: care and refurbishment. This is when I'll go through and take care of any mends, any button replacements and alterations so that the clothes are fortified and fit for a good long period of wear. It can be so easy to forget about this part of the process or dismiss it as unnecessary, but I find that this inspection process will make the clothes far more worth the money in the long run. I'll be much more likely to get wear out of them, and making sure everything is refurbished and properly fit will prevent strain or damage from getting exacerbated with wear.
We can build on this already existing work that's put into the garment and just bring it to the next level with some alterations. Mm-hmm. So what I really liked about this jacket is the high quality materials and the construction. You can feel that it's 100% wool. Details like the buttonholes, they are hand stitched. Then if we look on the inside, we can see that the lining is also sewn in by hand. So it has been made by a tailor.
What alterations are possible or not possible with a tailored garment?
So if your jacket has pockets like this one here with the flaps, then it's really important that the pocket is not somewhere in the area where you want to do the adjustments. This one is ideal because it sits very far to the side. And if I wanted to take it in, we could either make this dart here a little bit bigger by taking in the fabric from the front, or we could work around the whole area by placing a second dart and making it a design feature. And I feel that's the whole purpose of thrifted garments, to embrace the personality, the character the garment brings, not making it into something completely new, but looking what it's there. For example, here we have this V-shaped double-breasted buttons, which I think is very unique and adorable. But we can exchange the buttons for some other buttons that might be more suitable to your style. Yeah, if we take a look at the back side of these jackets, you see that we have one center back seam, two of these princess seams here, then another seam here under the arm, and the side seam.
Wow.
So that is a lot of areas where we can easily change the size and fit of the garment, and that's what we want.
Oh, and each one of these seams has a huge amount of seam allowance.
Yeah.
So you could make this whole jacket like a good couple sizes bigger.
Actually, yes. Usually I recommend to find garments that are larger and take them in. It would be possible because the quality of this garment is quite high and it has the option for making it bigger, which is great. You can feel the seam allowance in there, even if it's hidden by the lining.
Yeah, there's like a huge chunk of seam allowance in here. Wow.
The width of the sleeve around the upper arms, around the elbow, that's something that you can adjust easily. You can open the lining of the sleeve from the inside and take in the seam, or if there is enough seam allowance, let it out to make it a little bit wider, and that's something that can be done easily. If it's a sleeve without buttons, it's easy to let out some length or to shorten the length, but with these buttonholes, you can't change the position of it, and if you make the jacket shorter, the buttons would sit way too close to the bottom edge. If you let out the little bit of seam allowance, the buttons would sit up higher, and that also looks a bit weird. So if you have some kind of special closure or detail on the sleeve length, make sure the length works well for you so you don't have to touch that.
What if you do it anyway?
Well, there are some workaround or cheat options. For example, you could stitch a little extra cuff in a different fabric that sticks out, and then it looks like an intentional length. And yeah, you can try to let out the seam allowance here if you can find a similar button, and maybe add a fifth buttonhole here.
Yeah, or almost like just make it a statement, like just to embrace the fact that you had to make it longer and just put like a cape clasp there, like
Absolutely.
a golden like cufflink or something. Not a cufflink, or like a stud. You know, something that looks deliberately different.
Then we have the matching skirt. Apart from the very, very ugly zipper that we will replace, has an actual waistband stitched in there, which gives extra structure and durability, and it supports the weight of the fabric on the waist so it doesn't slide down. But it's also a way to alter the waistband size. You could just remove the hooks and eyes and make it smaller, or you can let out some of the waistband here if you need to make it a little bit wider. If we go on the inside, the seam allowances
it's
are
huge.
extremely wide, and that allows you to let out the skirt by 4 to 5 centimeters even.
Yeah.
Although I would recommend to buy garments that are on the bigger side and not too small, it's still possible to make them a little bit wider if there is so much material on the inside. The purpose of tailored garments back in the day was that you could adjust it in size. If they lost weight or put on weight, they wanted the garments to be adjustable. So I feel that's still a sign of quality because it gives you options to work with the garment. So here we have got another kind of surprise find.
Yeah, so this one had quite a bit of fit issues, and we're going to be doing some alterations on this one.
It's a really lovely shape already, but there are some things that we can make look even better.
Already covered in pig hair.
The first thing I always do is making sure that it sits properly on the body, like pulling a little bit on it to make sure the waistline is in the right place and the shoulders are where they should be.
So I've picked a jacket that has already fits in the shoulder.
Yes.
And the fit is close enough, but we'll just improve.
Exactly. And everything else, like this little extra fabric here, we can take that in. But the areas that are hard to adjust, like here with the pockets and here around the shoulders, they already fit, and that makes it a perfect thrift find. We won't touch the armhole, so the alteration would start just below the armhole and gently run into the seam. And with the pinning and alterations, it's totally okay to go back and forth. Try pinning a first dart and then see how you feel about it.
Especially if you're doing this on yourself, you probably will need to go back and forth a bit.
Yes.
But it's also, I feel like it's really not hard to learn how to do this. Like, you can very easily instruct someone if you live with someone who's not a tailor. You could just be like, pinch out the excess in this seam.
Yeah, feel the seam, follow the seam, pinch out the excess.
Don't touch the arm side, don't touch the pockets.
Hold that. And we let it run back to the original place towards the pocket. It's always a good idea to take a look in the mirror and see how you
it's
like
a much
the
nicer
shape.
shape. I might put some
Yeah.
padding in this and make it a little Dior
Yes.
style.
Yes. There is still a little bit of extra fabric here. So if we want a really tailored fit, then we can take in the second seam as well. And I will make the dart here over the bust higher and then take it in. If we take a look
Yeah, that's
again.
nice.
So I think this is a really good shape here in the front. As we have a very tight fit here now, it might be worth doing an additional button or popper in on the inside to keep that in place. If we take a look now, it's
Oh my god, it looks so vintagey.
yes, right? It makes such a difference.
Yeah. What's going on back here?
So the back fit is quite nice. We have some extra room here over the bottom, and as we're going for the vintage hourglassy shape, we can fill that out with padding. But up here we have some fabric folds, and that is something that we can take in to create a really smooth upper back. Feel again where the seam is, starting at the armhole and then pinching and pinning away the excess fabric. You need a little bit of ease over the shoulders to lift your arms and put them in the front, so it shouldn't be super tight here. Then we have a beautiful upper back that sits smoothly. If you turn to the side, we see that the sleeve itself is actually quite slim fitting, so I feel we don't have to make it smaller. But if the sleeve was quite big, we would also do that adjustment here on the seam in the back. I never adjust sleeves on the front seam because that would create a quite weird shape. So all sleeve adjustments should be done on the back seam. The sleeve length is okay.
Yeah, for once.
For once.
Yeah. Challenge accepted. The alterations for this jacket are fairly straightforward, so I've just decided to do them myself. All I'll have to do is open up a seam in the lining, transfer my alteration marks to the inside of the jacket, stitch up those seams, and press them nicely. The process is actually roughly the same for letting out the seams, if that's something that you would prefer to do, but you'll be splitting the seams, repinning with less seam allowance where you want more room, and then trying on the jacket to determine the exact fit before stitching the seams back up in the desired place. Now that I've thread marked where the pins are so that the stitching lines will show through to the inside of the jacket, I can just pinch in that seam and pin it back together from the inside of the jacket, matching up those thread marked lines. I ended up thread marking flat the seam allowance, which was not helpful because I needed that to be pulled up and not stitched flat down to the jacket. So I ended up having to clip up some of those stitches so that I could flip that seam allowance back up. But some of the stitches were still there, which I could vaguely see. But yeah, trust the process. There are definitely still at least some stitch holes there so that I know at least where I'm going. The other seams I did much more competently, so I was able to just pinch those out and pin them together as normal. Keeping in mind that I'm hopefully not going to be the last person to wear this jacket, I'm preserving the seam allowance on the seams I'm taking in so that it can be let out again later for the next person who wants. I'm also going a little step further with my alterations. I want to turn this jacket into more of a 1950s Dior-inspired shape, so I'm adding a bit of hip padding. These are just some pre-made shoulder pads that you can buy from any Notion supply or haberdashery. I'm just tacking these in along points where the pads overlap with the seam allowances so that the stitches don't show through to the front of the jacket. Barbara has actually taught us how to do this in a whole separate video, so I will link that up above if you want some more juicy details. Then it's just the super simple matter of stitching together the jacket along all those seams where I had taken out some room. And of course, don't forget to press. This is probably one of the most, if not equally important, parts about sewing. If you want to make your seams look professional and neat and to match the rest of the seams on the garment, presumably, it will definitely need a good press. Then I can just close up that lining seam and add in that 4th button that Barbara recommended. This tends to be worth doing if you're substantially altering down a jacket and you want to avoid any of those pull lines on the front. Plus, a higher closure is actually more of a vintage or historical feature, so it actually works a lot better with this new look inspiration I'm going for. While you don't technically need a lot of hand sewing skills in order to do an alteration like this, you can actually do all of these alterations by hand if you don't have access to a sewing machine, and it will turn out perfectly strong and durable. If you want to learn these skills or brush up on the basics, I do have a book out called Make, Sew, and Mend, as well as a couple of Skillshare classes on the basics of sewing, which will teach you all of these essential hand sewing techniques in a lot more detail than I could explain to you here, with which you can make or mend entire long-lasting garments without the need of a sewing machine. I didn't have a button that exactly matched the rest of the buttons in terms of size and color and quality in my own button stash. Sure, it's a simple enough button that I probably could have gone out and found one pretty similar, but I thought, you know what, I kind of want to get this done now, I kind of want to wear this jacket quite soon, and I have this really cool clock button that I've had for years and is actually the right size as the rest of the buttons, so I'm just going to use this and just make it kind of a statement. It actually perfectly matches this little embroidered goldwork brooch, which is a collaboration between myself and Hand & Lock. I designed it and the fabulous folks at Hand & Lock produced it, but I mean it is an entirely hand embroidered goldwork little pin, which, you know, I have one of now. I think there are still some of them left, you know, subject to availability, but I love this so much. I'm so excited to have this incredible new/old jacket in my wardrobe, and will definitely be getting lots of wear out of it now that it is so uniquely me and fits great. Those of you already on the slow fashion train will probably relate, but for those of you looking to join in on the fun, I can't even begin to express how rewarding and fulfilling it is to get to slowly curate a wardrobe of pieces that I truly love, that bring me comfort and make me feel great every time I wear them. To carefully hand select each piece after thorough scrutiny as to its quality and potential for life on my particularly unique body, and to spend the time taking each garment on a journey to become perfect for me. It's definitely a slow process, despite what the internet and social media might tell you otherwise. Take your time, explore your styles, and gather your treasures. You have a whole lifetime to do it. So take your time, get through the mending and alterations pile first before we start buying new. You can check out more of Barbara's work over on Instagram for more fabulous sewing and making and designing inspiration. She also has dozens of patterns and sewing tutorials over on her Patreon, which you should definitely check out if you want to get some really cool sewing projects. And if you've enjoyed this video, we've actually gone through and put together a whole playlist full of all the videos where we've gone and spoken to other experts on fascinating subjects such as the wonderful world of embroidery and the question of did people bathe in medieval times. So there are plenty of videos for you to go check out if you would like to learn more. Don't forget to check out June's journey if that was something of interest to you, and subscribe if you wish to see me back here for some more sewing adventures. Huzzah!
Barbara inspects the shein.
This is so sad.
Wait, look what happened when we burnt it.
And the fact that it didn't even catch fire, the tailoring bots didn't even want it as an offering because it's just too bad.
Yeah.